Oh my God, my agenda's gonna get screwed. Oh my God, he's gonna pull out of the Iran nuclear deal. He's gonna pull out of the Paris Accord. He's gonna try to get rid of Obamacare. Oh my God, what am I gonna do? For 2.5 years, that man has a home in DC right next to Ivanka Trump with Valerie Jarrett and everybody. Valerie Jarrett's daughter used to work for CNN. They're all in this house together. They're all plotting and planning. How are we gonna take back the house? Which is what they did. Now they're plotting and planning, how are we going to take back the presidency? Because he knows that if Trump wins again, everything is going to get reversed. And he knows that Trump is coming back for that house. He knows it. Trump's people, as we speak, are in the districts right now that flip from Republican to Democrat. No, it's okay, you can clap. But that is a true fact. Because the president knows that he can't get anything done if the Democrats stay in the House. They're going to try to impeach him. That's what they want to do. They want to impeach him. They want to keep the Mueller investigation alive.
They want to keep the myth of the Russia.
Correct. Correct. Because the Democrats have no plan.
In all due respect, what happened in the first 2 years when the Republicans were still in Congress and Trump was president? Why wasn't there funding for the wall then? Why?
Because you had, oh sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, because you had what we call testy Republicans, or we had never Trump or snowflake Republicans that kept him from getting the wall. Speaker Paul Ryan promised a lot of things. If you remember, he didn't even like Trump. Trump was going up against everybody. Nobody liked him. The GOP didn't like him. The RNC didn't like him. All the Republican clubs in the states didn't like him. So he was an entity unto himself, fighting against everybody to win.
The establishment, yeah.
Yeah, the establishment. And that's what he calls the elites. He's not just talking about the Democratic elites, he's talking about the GOP elites who hated him because he was changing the
agenda too.
Yeah, I mean, look at Mitt Romney. I mean, Mitt Romney did a whole 180. You know, we all loved him, and then he went after Trump, and he's a real beep. You know, he's a real, real schmuck. So everybody know that word, smart cop. A real mashuggin, a real fishtunkina. Hey, you know. So I mean, he's a schmo. There we go, better. He's a schmo. So anyway, so going back to the subject at hand. So I was going to go into a little bit more about. So we all know. I mean, we all know the story about Omar. She came to this country. She was a refugee. She obtained her Americans. So we all know that. So Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, her parents were born in the West Bank, and what she calls, you know, East Jerusalem. It's really Eastern Jerusalem, by the way. And the West Bank is called Judea and Samaria. As Jewish people, we actually, it's not advised to go to Judea and Samaria because there are legal Palestinians that live there, and they cause havoc for Israelis and American Jews that want to visit there, stay at somebody's home via Airbnb. That was a huge story. They can't. When I lived in Israel, I had to go around the West Bank to get to a safe area because it's so unsafe. Rashida Tlaib's brothers live in the West Bank with Rashida Tlaib's grandmother. Her brothers are one of the most anti-Semitic men I've ever heard in my life. Her second brother, his name is Nedar, he posted on Facebook that, quote, Hamas are his heroes. This is Rashida Tlaib's brother. Her other brother stated that, quote, Zionists control the media, which is kind of like the same thing as saying Jews control the world. It's the same thing. These are her brothers that she brought to her inauguration when she became a congresswoman. She also brought a very known woman, Linda Sarsour, who she's huge friends with. Why is Linda Sarsour in Congress, in the Senate building, and in the Supreme Court? Why did they continue to allow her there? She is put there as a pawn. She's put there for George Soros. She's put there for Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam. She's there to cause havoc. Why can Black Lives Matter put an event together for Omar at a moment's notice? Because they're always there, because George Soros is calling the shots. These protesters that go to, that were at Hillary Clinton, or excuse me, that were at Donald Trump, a lot of them were at Donald Trump's rallies when he was running. They were paid. They were paid by George Soros. They were paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign. They're all in connection with each other. They're all in bed together.
Globalists.
Why do you think the CIA and the FBI and the DOJ all hated Trump? George Bush was the CIA, worked for the CIA. He recruited Bill Clinton to work for the CIA. Barack Hussein Obama worked for the CIA. Osama bin Laden worked for the CIA.
Really?
Yes. These are true facts, everybody.
Well, that was when the Mujahideen was in Afghanistan.
Correct. Those are real facts. Why do you think you had to take Osama bin Laden
That's how they got the
out?
stingers over there, the Soviets. Follow the money.
So AOC is a completely different ballgame because, I mean, she's different because, yes, she's still working for George, she's working with George Soros, but she's working with a company called, or a group called Justice for Democrats, who have done, as you know, illegal activity in terms of her campaign funding. That's why all of a sudden her chief of staff had to, quit from working with her. Because if they find out that the two of them are associated, then she goes through a whole lawsuit and all that stuff. But they want to keep her there. They want to keep her there forever. They want to keep her in Queens, or excuse me, the Bronx.
Bronx
and
Queens.
Bronx and Queens, that's
It's
right.
both boroughs.
Right, she's got both. But she has a following of 4 million young millennials on Twitter. And she was just a bartender. How did she go from being a bartender to being a congresswoman? All paid. Her brother indoctrinated her, nominated her to be a congresswoman. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Everything that comes out of her mouth is not coming from her. It's coming from Justice for Democrats and Young Turks.
I believe that. She doesn't have brains to speak talk.
Yeah.
She's not as dumb as you think she is.
And again, she was the one that said detention centers or concentration camps. As a Holocaust survivor, I mean, that is such a slap in the face to them. Such a slap in the face. There's a very famous Holocaust survivor who lives here in Brooklyn. His name is Sammy Steigman. Do you guys know him? There was a video done with him, and I forgot the name of the other gentleman, on TurningPointUSA.com. Yeah. And the guy actually, he was born in Romania, went to a labor camp with his parents. He was 1.5-years-old when he escaped with his parents. His parents told him many years later what Dr. Mengele and many others did to him. They did experiments on him. He has physical ailments to this day. He's got the number to this day. So different, so different. The influence of these three, and they call themselves progressive. You know why they do that, right? They do that to get into the psyche of the young millennial because progressive means to go forward. Progressivism means change. They're not changing. It's not real change, it's fake. They're retrogressors. They're going back. So when you see on the media that they call themselves progressive, they do that on purpose. It's fake news. The hateful and decisive rhetoric that comes out of their mouths can influence young people in a very detrimental way. The attacks that happened in Sri Lanka and at the Chabad in Powai, California, were not from the president. It's not from a man who moves the embassy. It's not a man that recognizes that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel and acknowledges the Golan Heights and has prayer circles in the White House. No, these attacks happen when people listen to the advice, and it's still on YouTube today. Al Jazeera, Louis Farrakhan, Linda Sarsour, CARE, Muslim Brotherhood, Islamic Jihad, Al-Qaeda, Black Lives Matter, Dream Defenders, and BDS. Why are these organizations and groups not censored, but we are? Laura Loomer is censored. I don't know what everybody's opinion here of Laura Loomer is, but let me tell you something, that girl's got guts. And she's actually running for a congressional seat, District 21, Louis Frankel's seat in the state of Florida where I'm from.
That's Deutsch.
And I hope she wins. I really do. As a young Jewish millennial, I'm tired of listening to the lies and having people in Congress that stand with terrorist organizations, spew out anti-Semitic rhetoric, and there aren't any consequences for their atrocious actions. As we know, the Holocaust was real, and young people need to know at an early age, when 1 or 2 people start hating on someone that they feel isn't like them, turmoil and genocide can happen. And I urge everyone here, everyone in this room, to not be afraid, to call out the quote-unquote progressive left. we have what, 20 people in this room, maybe less. We all have phones, we all have Facebook, we all have Twitter, we all have Instagram, I hope. We're all on social media. 65 million people voted for the president. There is not one person in this room that can't be like an AOC, that can't be like a Tlaib, that can't be like an Omar, meaning going on social media and calling people out, but telling the truth. You can't dispute a fact. That's why Turning Point USA does so well, because they see the BS and they call it out right away.
Gotta open your mouths.
You do. You have to open your mouth.
Excuse me, I don't want to interrupt this conversation, but the lady just said something, I gotta respond to. I'm sorry.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I got blocked by Facebook because I made a comment the other day. The reason why is because, to answer your question, is because George Soros bought Mark Zuckerberg. He gave him $5 billion the other day to change all the algorithms that Facebook uses so that when people like us make a comment, we get blocked.
You know what you do then? You form it. First of all, you form another account and you find other ways. You talk like what I'm doing. You talk to people like you.
Sorry.
But also, it's okay. But also, you got to go to the opposition as well. You got to talk to moderate Democrats. You got to talk to JFK Democrats. You got to talk to the young millennials now. Unfortunately, the young millennials are controlling this nation. That whole concept of children being seen and not heard doesn't exist anymore. The kids have the upper hand. The kids have the Boca Ratons, the big mouths. The kids say, "Mother, shut up! You're stupid! How come you can't use a phone? How come you still have a flip phone, Mom?" You get into their minds. It's true. You get into their minds, you educate them, then they trickle down. It trickles to the parents, to the grandparents, to the nieces, to the nephews. Unfortunately, the 18 to the 40-year-olds is what we have to target right now. And people always say, oh, the young millennials are a lost generation. The young millennials are actually more inclined and more involved in politics now than ever. That's because of President Trump. I was at Turning Point USA. It was all young kids, all middle school kids, all high school kids, all college kids. Packed house of 1,500 kids, 5,000 kids, packed house. You get to them, it will help. It will help to change the narrative that young millennials only vote Democrat. You have to tell them the truth. You have to say that nothing in life is free. That's why you show them the Holocaust in front of their faces. You show them what democratic socialism does to a nation, what it does to a city, what it does to a state. Take them to California, take them to the border, take them to Manhattan.
5-minute walk from here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm being serious. You have to show it to them. You have to show it to them. And that's how you can change their minds. That's how you can cross them over. And they want to have the authority. These young people today want to have the authority, so give it to them. Give them the authority and say, tell your parents about it. Yeah.
I would go to protests, with from Karen against like BDS stuff, anywhere in Manhattan. Like they would go in front of Best Buy and they would protest and right in front. So I don't know how, I called up Congress people in Manhattan, and I said, when there were always Jewish events, these BDS people would make noise while the people were going to the events that they were going to. It was like the Jews were like walking through Nazi Germany being ridiculed. So I called up the people, like Congress people, I don't even remember their names, in Manhattan, and they were just like, well, when you're there, call me up. I said, why are this allowed? Why are they getting why are they getting permits to harass Jewish events? Why? What is going on here in New York City? Why
Because of de
are they?
Blasio.
Huh?
He has people in the administration that hate
But
him.
they're giving out permits to.
Yeah, because of him.
Right, because the more liberal the city is or the
Because he's
state,
got
the
communists
easier
in
it
his,
is.
in his
Now-
administration. I know some of these people.
Yeah, no, they tried pulling that crap, let's say in Dallas, Fort Worth. They tried pulling that
Austin.
crap in Tampa, Florida.
Look what they
No,
do in
they won't
Austin.
get it. They won't get it. But they do it on purpose. They go to California, they go to New York, they go to DC where it's very liberal, and that's why it's easy for them to get the
But why are
permit.
people tolerating, this man who started the birthright, it was such a pathetic picture. He's coming out of the car, and the BDS is surrounding them, so he thought, he's gonna be brave and go like this. But that's pathetic. It's like before, Perlman got his head chopped off, he
Right.
made remarks. But meanwhile, why are they there in the first place? Why are Congress here in New York allowing the media to harass Jews at every event that they go to?
Because they can.
Huh?
It's a very simple answer, because they can.
I know, but we have to put a stop to it.
These people need to spawn that are against it. You have to stand up to these bastards. That's the way you have to do it.
That's why.
So if you don't, you lose.
Let's keep questions.
Oh, so I just wanted to say a couple of things. So going back to protesting and town halls and events and stuff. So when the HRES 183 resolution passed, that was that watered down version of anti-Semitism. Do you guys remember that? That passed. It was a simple resolution.
Right.
Originally, it was supposed to state, that we shouldn't have anti-Semitism. It was supposed to call out Congresswoman Omar's name and quote her directly. And then, of course, the Democrats, they caved in, and the resolution was very watered down.
Right.
So after that happened, which was in March, I had my founder and president of Jexit, Michelle Terrace. She called me up because she knows I live in DC now. And she knows I work on the Hill. And she said, Alexandra, oh my God, what are we gonna do? We gotta do something. We have to make some noise. We can't allow this to happen. There's 23 Republicans that voted no against this resolution. But they're just congressmen. We are of the people, by the people, for the people. We're the voters. We have the voice that they can't really say. Because when you go to a congressional building or a Senate building or a Supreme Court, it's strictly legislation. You can't talk about campaign, you can't talk about President Trump, Vice President, it's strictly legislation. They're very strict about that. So one of the ideas was to talk to the congressmen that voted no for it to see if they will rewrite a proper resolution, which a lot of them have. Zeldin did, Greg Stubbe did, a lot of them have. But again, it does nothing. Then they thought we should do a protest. They said a protest, we can go in front of such and such's office and such's office and protest and get our word out and get on camera and do all that. And I said the problem with the protest is it's good for 10 to 15 minutes. Doesn't really have traction, doesn't really do anything. And you may get kicked out. And I work on the Hill, and I wasn't gonna put my job and my reputation on the line. So I said, let's do something more effective. Let's have a rally. Let's have a rally of strong people, everyday Americans, business people, people that support Trump, Democrats, people of all different races, religions, and creeds. Let's bring it to the people. Let's have it at the U.S. Capitol grounds, right there on Capitol Hill. Let them hear it. Let the senators, the congressmen, let them hear it. And that's what we did. And it was extremely successful. It was May 7th, 2019. We had 25 speakers. I had so many people calling wanting to talk about this. Lieutenant Steve Rogers, who works for, he's on Trump's advisory board. He's a surrogate for the president, former lieutenant. He was a former FBI counterterrorism specialist. He's always on Fox News. He's a huge supporter of my movement, and he spoke. Martha Bonetta, who also works for Trump's advisory board, she is Paris Barnes. She owns she owns 2 farms in Virginia. She won a huge lawsuit by people who wanted to try to take down her farms. She spoke. We have a woman in Maryland. She runs the Republican Black Caucus. Her name is Mary Fisher. She's a black woman who converted to Judaism 22 years ago. She told me that she gets more hatred for being Jewish than for being black. And she spoke. We had a Christian councilman from Biloxi, Mississippi come. We were supposed to have a guy from Minnesota, actually, from Omar's district, but he couldn't come. But he was Christian. He's Christian. He's actually running against Omar.
Mike Lindell.
Huh?
Mike Lindell?
It wasn't Mike Lindell, no.
So
Mike Lindell, I've heard hit or miss. I've heard he's running, he's not running, he's running, he's not. I'll be honest with you because I know him personally.
My Pillow?
And yeah, the My Pillow guy. I know him personally. I've met him at Mar-a-Lago.
How was
Great
his
guy.
pillow?
Huh?
It's great.
It's great. Love it. The Giza sheets are
No
wonderful.
comments.
I
Love
have
them.
pillows too.
Yeah, I bought them at Walmart.
Presentation.
But anyway, yeah, sorry. So let me finish
Silent
my thought.
promotion.
Sorry. Yeah, silent promotion. Anyway, it's so funny because now I have the song in my head for the best night's sleep in the world.
Advertising work.
Advertising for my, anyway. So he said to me, he said, I'm actually more effective as an outsider looking in. So he may not run. He's got the money to run. He's got the money to run. But those commercials he puts on, they cost a lot of money. They cost a lot of money. So if he doesn't run, he doesn't run. But at the very end of the rally, We had 250 girls from a yeshiva here in Brooklyn, from Matzoras Bet Yaakov. They came like the last 10 minutes of the rally. And they were there on a class trip